So that Field of Dreams was essentially, I mean, you were planning that out for almost a decade.
We just kept stoking the fire.
Wow, George.
Just to let the city officials know and the county
Right.
officials know that baseball in the summertime sure would be great in this area.
Yes.
And eventually it came to pass. I think there was more tax money available, maybe A-tax and things like that.
Right.
And so it was 10 years later, it was a different environment.
Sure, working with Capital Broadcasting from the Triangle and bringing the the single A, the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and then of course the Greenbergs, the folks out of Pennsylvania that have stepped in now, I guess, out of Texas with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. It's pretty exciting to see that transition.
It is, and as you know, it's a classic field to go to. The teams, the teams in the league can't wait to get to Myrtle Beach. And, it's a good blend of local fan support and just walk up people on vacation and say, hey, it's Tuesday night, time to go to the ball game.
Well, the season kicks off very soon, and so the real excitement is going to be buzzing back here in the area.
Capital Broadcasting was a good neighbor too.
Right.
When they brought the team here and they built the stadium,
right.
One of the ways the Optimist Club got involved, maybe on the way into the stadium, I don't know if you've ever seen, it's a children's park.
Yeah,
that children's park was the idea of Rachel Broadhurst, the late Rachel Broadhurst, who had seen one in another town and said, boy, it'd be great if at the stadium while it's being built, we could do something like that. So the cost was about $120,000, and the theory was so that handicapped children could play on an equal footing with perhaps their siblings who were not challenged in some way.
Yes.
That park is that type of park.
It's perfect.
So the city said, we'll pay a third. The ball team said, we'll pay a third if a civic club will step up.
Look at that.
And pay a third. And that was not an insignificant amount of money, but that's why it's the Optimist Playground.
Son of a gun. I did not.
A lot of people don't realize
No,
that.
I've never seen the Grand Strand
truth.
Optimist Club's associate or the Optimist tie with it.
Well, I haven't seen you on the swings and slides either.
Well, I'll have to. That's right, George. I obviously need to get out there much more often, but very exciting to see the opportunity to open that door for kids. And with the Optimist Club International, the real focus is on children.
And while we're talking about Capital Broadcasting, when the stadium was built, they wanted to set up a foundation.
Right.
A fund called, and we decided to call it the Youth Diamond Fund.
Oh, great, yes.
And they went to some of the folks, as we'd been talking about earlier, who were keeping the fire somewhat alive and said, you know, you've helped us get here, will you serve on this board?
Yes.
And what we do is raise money by either the selling of bricks or the team assists us with things like fundraisers or golf tournaments or things like that.
Great.
And the money is earmarked. Is that a word I can use? Earmarked? Or earmarked?
It's out of Washington now, but it's down here, of course.
It's earmarked to retrofit or build baseball and softball fields for youth in the communities that are trying to do something like that.
That's tremendous.
That's been very fulfilling.
And those dollars more or less stay in ORE in this instance? They stay in the greater Myrtle Beach area?
Yes, under our bylaws it can be either Georgetown or ORE.
Okay.
But we have gone a long way toward putting, you know, fences or lights or things where kids can play baseball or just take an old field and redo it.
That is tremendous,
So
George.
it's helped a lot of people, and so that was a great tie-in with the ball team itself.
And if a viewer was interested in supporting the Youth Diamond Fund, they could call the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, or they could call, there's a number of different sources, I'm sure, to help support the Youth Diamond Fund.
Yes, they could call me, or they could call the Pelicans office, and it's just a great cause.
That's wonderful.
And we've been pleased to be able to do that for these years.
What about service on the South Carolina State Athletic Commission? Y'all are involved, I mean, the opportunity there throughout the state. George, how did you get on the State Athletic Commission?
Well, the State Athletic Commission is basically in charge of protecting combatants in the areas of things like mixed martial arts, boxing, and wrestling.
Oh, wow.
We don't have anything to do with college baseball or high school this or that. It's all professional and combat sports. Our job is not the promotion of the events. Our job is to protect the participants.
Very interesting.
As best we can. I went on the athletic commission. The athletic commission consists of 7 members,
right,
who are chosen by the governor from each congressional district and
right,
1 at large, and approved by the Senate. So we serve at the pleasure of the governor, basically.
Yes.
And I have been on that for about 10 years. It's very fulfilling.
That must be.
And they, you know, functions such as like weigh-ins and making sure everybody has licenses. We have to check boxers' records to make sure you, who have won 40 fights in a row, aren't fighting me, who hasn't won in 5 years.
That sounds like a good one.
We just try to level the playing field a little bit.
That's tremendous, George. Well, that is something that probably the unseen hero that a lot of folks don't think about. Oftentimes, they don't know who does that. It's good to know that. Is that done state by state, or is this just indicative of South Carolina?
That's done state by state. There's an association of boxing commissions.
Really?
That's the various. It might be the various Indian tribes, the states, Canada. We have some of the provinces in Canada involved. Right. We have an annual meeting where we talk about just about anything from making sure medical tests have been done, checking records, who's suspended in another state. There's a way to do that, but it does help level the playing field and protect the combatants from problems.
That is great, George. Well, you know, it's fascinating. As I went online to try to do a little research to get ready to see you this morning, I saw, of course, at the Old Dominion University class notes, there was some information there about come visit George. You were talking to your fraternity brothers, I think Pi Kappa Alpha maybe. Come by and visit whenever you're down in the Myrtle Beach area. And then I was fascinated reading a little more about you to see that you'd been the national president of, on a totally separate side, but it had the word fraternity in it, is the national president of the Professional Fraternity Association.
Professional Fraternity Association, PFA. I got involved with the PFA. The PFA is an umbrella group of all the professions, as you might imagine.
Right.
Veterinarians, nurses, insurance, architecture.
Yeah, they all have fraternities, right?
Each of them have fraternities, but we're sort of the all-encompassing group, and I had been obviously in a law fraternity.
Right, sure.
And on the board of that, and as an adjunct of that, I got involved in the PFA, got on the board, sat on the board for a few years, and eventually went through the chairs. Is that what it's called? I think so. Going through the chairs. But yeah, there's over 2 million people that comprise it in all
of
those
making up the that is incredible.
Yeah, but it was.
Well, that must have been exciting, George.
It
with 2 million members there, essentially.
Well, I wasn't answering to all of them, but it was interesting, and I enjoyed my service on that board very much.
Golly, well, of course, I saw you've held this very active role for the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors for the last a number of years as their special. Forgive me, it's their special retained legal counsel.
Yes, I'm retained legal counsel for the board. I serve at their pleasure. But there are things that come up among realtors. You know, the great thing about realtors, capital R, trademark,
that's right,
is that they police themselves. They're very much like lawyers in that they don't run to the courthouse to sue one another over a commission or something like that. Right. It's handled by a grievance committee that serves to resolve these conflicts, and I'm involved through that.
That is wonderful. Well, of course, I know it's tough for anyone to follow in Charlie Brindell's footsteps, but I believe Laura Crowther has stepped in and is doing some very exciting things here in the area to really keep the Horry, Georgetown, and the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors is it just Horry and Georgetown counties? Or is Brunswick County a part of that?
They have a piece of Brunswick, too.
Okay,
yes.
good. So that's
a
very significant group of realtors, probably one of the larger realtor organizations in the South.
Don't know if I'd call it a trade association, but as a professional association, it's one of the biggest and quite frankly one of the best. All around the state, people look at our board to see how it operates and how it does things.
Wow, that's tremendous.
And everything in Myrtle Beach seems to be magnified sometimes.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's sort of like if a problem is going to develop, it'll probably start here first. And so it helps us give guidance to the rest of the state, too.
That guidance is what we're looking for. George, sorry we've run out of time. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for the invite on this morning show, and I hope I hope everybody enjoys it.
Yes, let's pray so. Stay tuned to a little more All-American People with George Cox coming up next. 3 great things I took away from this last 30 minutes sitting here with George, that for any professional corporation, whether for-profit or not-for-profit, it takes a heck of a lot of work and support of so many to make it happen, whether it's the Cox Law Firm celebrating its 25-year anniversary recently, or the Grand Strand Optimist Club celebrating its silver anniversary. The excitement of so many involved, working hard to really make it happen. It was great how George gave credit where credit was due, and Optimist International recognized we got to step back. This has been a great boys club for years, but letting the ladies in is the way that we're really going to grow, and that's exactly what happened. As he said, giving credit where it's due, whether it's the Youth Diamond Fund or closing your house or learning more about the Grand Strand Optimist Club, give them a call at 843-497-7000. George Cox, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg. Delightful.